Okay, yeah. Okay, great. Very wide diversity of degrees and groups, so that's very interesting. So how did Turn to Love start? Basically, we started by looking at the perception of Islam in the media currently, and seeing that whenever any reports were done about that religion, it was all because some people used that religion to cut off heads or bomb places and kill innocents, or because the other side of extremists and in that case racists, etc., were there to say, oh, all Muslims are terrorists, all Muslims need to be kicked out, etc. So we were looking at that 2.5 years ago and saying, how is it possible that if there's more than 1 billion of Muslims in the world, that a couple of them who claim to be Muslims and do this kind of stuff manage to be like 90% of the coverage about Muslims in the media? How is it that that other 1 billion is never heard, is never represented? To the points you mentioned, the facts are not there. To the points that somebody else mentioned, the variety of opinions within that monolith, within that block of Muslims wasn't there. What can we do about that? Then we thought about why is that actually? And for us the key learning was that actually it is because the voices of evil are very, very, very good at getting their message out. And this is an example of ISIS. They had at some point 50,000 Twitter accounts. They had magazines, videos, etc. in English, French, German, Turkish, Arabic, Kurdish, Russian, Bosnian, Bengali, and another 20 languages. They had really professional videos, as you've seen, almost Hollywood style. They were thinking about putting on those orange jumpsuits to increase the impact of the view. Right? So they were doing marketing, so to speak, in a very, very professional way. And on the other hand, the positive voice, or the voice of the 99.99999% of Muslims that don't cut off heads, was nowhere to be heard, and was much more amateuristic, less organized, less well-polished, etc. So what we said is, how can we help that voice, that positive voice, to become more professional-looking, more impactful, and stronger, because the side of evil is doing it so strongly. And you could do the same for many other topics, right? Look at how Tommy Robinson is doing his PR and his communication. Again, very slick, very well thought through, very clear slogans. And then people going against that go and sit in rooms or like do events to bring people together in a neighborhood, and nobody hears about it, nothing is seen about it because it's just so amateuristic and old school. Right? So what was the goal that we as Turn to Love set for ourselves? It's A, amplify the voice of the majority of all people, of all faiths, living in peace together. Right? There's more than 7 or 8 billion people in the world now. The large majority of them are living in peace, but yet we in the media never hear about it almost, and we only hear about the few that are shooting each other. Secondly, show that all these people actually stand up against this kind of violence, whether it's a racist killing somebody at Finsbury Park Mosque, or whether it's an ISIS sympathizer killing innocent people on the tube. Making sure that the voices that go against that are heard and are loud and are professional. And then help positive messages of unity and love reach a wide global audience. We said we don't want to do nice and cute stuff where 20 or 50 people come and sit together, eat together, and then go home and think they've done something. That's nice, and I appreciate that people do that, but that's not what we want to do. We want to do big stuff that reaches a global audience, just as like the ISIS videos go viral or Tommy Robinson goes viral. We want to maximize the impact of those messages. So A, the global audience, but also the maximized impact in those global audiences. And then join up Muslims, non-Muslims to work on that together. Join up people from very wide backgrounds to work on that together. So in the Turn to Love group, we've got people from the finance industry, from the consulting industry, from Facebook, from Twitter, students, from faith organizations, women organizations, sports organizations even, because we believe that bringing all those people with very different backgrounds and different skill sets is crucial to get that voice out. And before we move on, just want to share one quote with you with from one of our volunteers. who's the CEO of a PR agency in the city. And in one of the meetings 2 years ago, he said a quote that really stuck with me. Every year in the city, they have the election of best PR campaign or best PR firm of the year. And he said in our meeting 2 years ago, if we were honest to ourselves, the last 2 years, the title of best PR firm should have gone to ISIS. Because they got 16-year-old girls from Manchester to leave everything and join them, and they got 70-year-old guys in China to leave everything behind and join them. Which corporate, even Apple, doesn't sell to that wide an audience, or they make them buy just an iPhone but not give up their whole life. Right? So their strategy from a PR side was really, really, really good. So we were up against basically not a bunch of amateurs, but one of the best and most impactful campaigns, with obviously oil money behind it, state money behind it, whoever is behind it doesn't matter, but really against a very powerful machine. And that's the machine we were trying to create on the other side with our volunteers. So very briefly on this, and you will face the same when you set up your campaigns in the future. Often people would say, oh, but isn't that useless? For example, now, in the beginning, people told us, oh no, it's useless, it will never happen in the UK. Then we had the Manchester and the London bombing, all of a sudden everybody was like, oh yeah, it is important in the UK. Now we're a year later, when we talk to people, some of them start to say, oh yeah, but that's a problem of the past, ISIS is defeated, whatever, right? There's always going to be an excuse not to do something. People will bring lots of excuses why not to do something. We believe now it's even more important for Turn to Love to continue with this campaign, because ISIS has been defeated in Iraq, ISIS has been defeated in Syria, ISIS is being defeated in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, etc. And the only way for them to stay relevant is by further attacks, terrorist attacks, killing innocents. And they do that not because they think they will win the war by killing 20 people in London, 100 people in Baghdad, 50 people in Paris, because that's not how you win a war, by killing whatever, maybe 200, 500, 1,000 people. But they think that they will win the war by doing that not one time, not 5 times, not 20 times, but so many times till the society fractures that much that you get civil war here. And that's what almost worked last year, right? We had one attack in Manchester, a week later in London, and a week later the Finsbury Park mosque got attacked. If there would have been 3 or 5 more attacks in the week after that, this country could have been a very, very different place now. And that's what they did very successfully, for example, in Iraq and in Somalia. Right? They did bomb after bomb after bomb, and people let it go for a while, but then all of a sudden people start bombing each other, and you get to a place where the whole country goes to hell. And that is why we believe it's very, very important now for us to continue this campaign and work further on that topic. So this is a very short overview of some of the campaigns we've done. And back then it was 200 million views. Now we're at, I think, 280 million views or so, because we did some very successful campaigns for the anniversary events in London and Manchester. As you see, it's a wide range of different campaigns. I'll talk you through some of them now as examples. A, so that you get a feel of what the different campaigns were, but B, and more importantly, because then we can have a discussion about what it is that made them go viral. I'll start with a video. This video was the first video of our campaigns that went viral, and it got 14 million views across the world. Like 3 million in Egypt, 600,000 in Sarajevo, only in Bosnia, so very wide, quite a few in the UK, in Canada, etc. And I'll first let you watch the video. Oh. So while watching the video, try to keep in mind why it is that this went viral. So the video went on television in Belgium, because it's a Belgian person that is speaking. He got 4 million views in 3 days in Belgium, which is a 10 million country. Then the group of Turn to Love helped translate it into 12 languages or so, and that's how it in the end it got to 40 million. But have a look first.
Je suis Mohamed El Bachiri, belgo-marocain, musulman et molenbeekois. Je suis considéré par une partie de la population et du monde comme un terroriste potentiel. Je suis également l'époux de Lubna Lafkiri, l'amour de ma vie, mon ami, la mère de mes enfants, décédée lors des attentats de Bruxelles le 22 mars 2016. Aujourd'hui, ma tristesse est incommensurable et si je me tiens debout, ce n'est que grâce et par l'amour. Par l'amour que je porte pour mon épouse, pour mes enfants, pour la vie et pour l'humanité. Amour qui m'a incité à appeler au djihad. Oui, j'ai appelé au djihad. Mais attention, pas n'importe lequel djihad. Je parle de ce djihad qui ne connaît pas la haine, ce fardeau pesant qui noircit les cœurs. Je parle du plus vrai, du plus noble, du plus beau combat pour un musulman qui s'oppose à la terreur.